Alright guys, so we today are going to do lots of stuff. First we're going to start out with completing the square, and then we're going to kind of move forward. So if this is my equation for creating the square, or completing the square, sorry, the way that I taught you a while ago is that you actually had like something over here and an equal sign, okay? What I taught you was when you were going to complete the square, we were going to basically replace the c value with something new. So for right now, I'm going to move the c value out of our way onto the other side. So I have x squared plus 8x equals negative 11. Okay, so now we're going to complete the square. So what we do is we do our b value divided by 2, and then we square it. So 8 divided by 2 is 4, and 4 squared is 16. So really what I'm going to do is I'm going to add 16 to the left, but then my scale becomes unbalanced. So in order to be able to add the 16 to the left, I also have to add 16 to the right. So now I really haven't changed the equation at all. I'm just keeping everything the same. Okay, so the reason that we did that was so that we could manipulate what we had here and then factor this. Well, if you big X factored it, then you would see that this is your answer. So we have x plus 4 squared is equal to 11 plus 16, or negative 11 plus 16 is 5. And then we want to just put this cute little 5 back over where it belongs. So x plus 4 squared minus 5, because I subtracted 5 from each side. Okay, so this is the idea behind today's assignment. That you're going to start with completing the square, and you're going to start by putting everything on the right. Now, you don't have to. Instead of this cute little equal sign, what we could have just said was, well, I'm going to just scooch 11 over. So instead, here we could have said x squared plus 8x plus 16 plus 11, and in order to cancel out this 16, I would actually be minusing 16. So you don't really need to move these guys to the opposite side, and then you can just focus on these 3 terms to complete your square, or you completed the square. So now we would factor in those 3 terms, so x plus 4 squared, and then we would simplify here, which would be negative 5. So either way, you still get the same answer. It's just 2 different ways to think about it, and since I taught you this way first, that's why I led with that. Okay, so let's go back to our page. Oh, sorry, it's this way. Okay, so we start by completing squares and practicing that. So we're going to do negative 2 divided by 2 and then square that. Well, negative 2 divided by 2 is negative 1, and negative 1 squared is 1. So my full number goes to complete my square, and then my factored answer is whatever's on the inside before I square, so minus 1. Okay, same thing with 28. I'm going to take my negative 28 and divide it by 2 and then square. Well, negative 28 divided by 2 is negative 14, and negative 14 squared is 196. So my 14 goes here, my negative 14. And then my 196 is here. Okay, so those are just more practice completing the squares. Oh, I should zoom in. I'm really sorry. Oh, let's get this. Oh, it's perfect now. Okay, so there's that. You can always pause at any time. So let's look at number 7. Number 7, we would start by completing the square. So here's my c value, which does not work for my square, so I'm going to just kind of move that to the other side. I'm not going to pay attention to this front part first, I'm just looking at this guy. Or you could just leave him here and then subtract, like I showed you on the other one. It's up to you. Okay, so basically I'm ignoring the 5. I'm going to pretend this isn't here, so now I have x squared minus 2x equals negative 5. We're just going to change things for a second. Okay, again, you don't have to do this. So now I'm going to complete the square. Okay, so I want to do negative 2 divided by 2 and then square that answer. Negative 2 divided by 2 is negative 1, and negative 1 squared is 1. So I'm adding 1 to each side. So I have x squared minus 2x plus 1 equals negative 5 plus 1. But I know that this really factored is x minus 1 squared. And then I have negative 4, but I want to bring my negative 4 back. So really what I have right now is y equals x minus 1 squared minus 4. Okay, so that's how we start. Now, this is in vertex form. So our question says, write the quadratic equation in vertex form, then find the vertex, the axis of symmetry, and the direction of the opening. So now we need to do some more notes. Okay, so when you have a parabola like this, you have a vertex, and this vertex splits your parabola in half. Then the axis of symmetry goes straight through the middle, and it's a linear equation. So let's say that this is at 2. So my vertex is at 0, 2. My parabola opens up, and this is a minimum. Up is always minimum, and down is maximum. And then we would need to figure out our axis of symmetry. So your axis of symmetry is always an equation, and it's always an x equals because it's a vertical line, and it's whatever your x value is for your vertex. So x equals 0. Okay, now the last one. Figuring out if this is up or a min, or a down or a max, needs to be based on your equation. So the equation of this guy is y equals x squared plus 2. So because my value in front of my x is positive, that means that my vertex is going to open up. So, for example, if your equation was y equals negative 3x squared plus 5x minus 7, this is a negative a, so it would open down, which would be a maximum. If it was, so this is a down max example. Let's say it was y equals 7x squared plus 14x plus 21. Because my 7 is positive, this is an up, and a minimum. Okay, so it depends on what your a value is to make your graph open up or down. So all you need is the equation for that. You don't actually have to draw it out. Okay? All right, so let's go back. Okay, now vertex form says y equals a x minus h, squared plus k. Where your vertex is hk. And then your axis of symmetry is x equals h, basically. Whoops. There you go. I wrote it down. Okay, so I look at my equation. Since my formula is negative, and this guy is also negative, so then I'm going to keep my number. It's opposite sign that you write down. So it's a negative here, which means it's positive here. But the k is straightforward. It's negative 4. So that's my vertex. My axis of symmetry is x equals 1. The direction of my opening, well, because my a value here is positive, this is going to open up. And when you open up, you have a minimum because the little loop part is down. Okay, so let's do number 9. All right, so the first thing that we're going to do is we are going to complete the square. So I'm going to complete the square without moving this guy over so you can see what that looks like. Take your b value. Oh, hold on, sorry. Okay, so in order to complete my square, I'm going to take my b value, my 4, and I'm going to divide by 2, and then we're going to square. So 4 divided by 2 is 2, 2 squared is 4. So my equation is x squared plus 4x, I'm going to put my new number, plus 4 minus 5, and then in order to make this not really affect my equation, I'm going to take off 4. And you could put the equals and put it on the other side and then move back if you wanted to, but you don't have to. So now I'm just going to factor this, my perfect square, and that will be x plus 2 squared And minus 4 minus 5 minus 4 is negative 9. Okay, so now my equation is in the correct form. So this will be y equals. So my h value is by my 2, and my k value is my 9. Remember, my h needs to be negative, so it's opposite of whatever's in here. So my vertex will be negative 2 and negative 9. My axis of symmetry is at negative 2. And because my a value is positive, this is an up with a min. Okay, let's do another one. All right, now, when you have a leading coefficient like 11, 13, and 15, you do not need to write it in vertex form. You could change this. There is a shortcut to doing these problems, which is a little bit different. So I'm going to show you the shortcut. So the shortcut is negative b over 2a, kind of like the quadratic formula. And that equals our x value. Okay? Or, yeah. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to do the shortcut. With leading coefficients, I like to use this. No leading coefficients, it's nice and easy to complete the square. All right, so negative b is negative 10 divided by 2 times negative 1. Negative 10 divided by negative 2 is 5. All right, and that is my x value. So see how I have an x here and an x here? I'm going to replace my 5 there. And this is really negative 1 times x, so it's negative 5 squared plus 10 times 5 minus 18. So 5 squared is 25, but then there's a cute little negative. 10 and 5 is 50 minus 18. And then we are going to simplify. So negative 25 and 50 minus 18 is 7. So that is, oh, JK, what's your y value? Because the equation, f of x, is the same thing as y. So y equals whatever this business is. So y equals 7. Okay, so this actually becomes your vertex. We have an x value and a y value. So your vertex is at 5, 7. Your axis of symmetry is 5. And because this guy is negative, it's down and a min. Okay? All right, let's keep going. I know that this is really long. You're more than welcome to pause or walk away whenever. Okay, so let's do another one. Because I have a leading coefficient, I'm going to use negative b over 2a, and that gives me my x. So negative b is 20 over 2 times 2. So negative 20 over 4, negative 20 divided by 4 is negative 5. So that's my x value. I'm going to take my x value and plug it in where my x is. So I have 2 times negative 5 squared plus 20 times negative 5 minus 3. Okay, so I'm just going to type that whole business in the calculator. 2 times negative 5 squared plus 20 times negative 5 minus 3. So I just typed it all in. And I get negative 53. Okay, and that's my y value. So then we write our vertex, which is at negative 5, negative 53. My axis of symmetry is x equals negative 5. And since my 2 is positive, it's an up and a min. Oh, it's a down and a max. I'm so silly. M-A-X for the other one. Sorry. I fixed it. Down max on 11, up min for 13. We'll do one more together just so that you can see. Leading coefficient, and it's negative, so this is going to be a down and a max. Okay, and then negative b over 2a. Negative b, oh, sorry, negative 15. Negative 15 over 2 times negative 3. So negative 15 is positive 15 over negative 6. Oh, okay, well, we're just going to keep that cute little fraction. We're going to make the calculator do the work for us. Then we're going to plug that in. So we have negative 3, negative 5 over 2 squared minus 15 times negative 5 over 2. And then 7. goodness. Okay, negative 3 parentheses, negative 5 over 2. Wow, that's really annoying. Hold on. Okay, that's better. Minus 15, 5 over 2. Woof. Negative 5 over 2 plus 7 is 103 over 4. So y equals 103 over 4. And then my vertex will be at negative 5 over 2 and 103 over 4. And my axis of symmetry is x equals negative 5 over 2. Okay, let me know if you have any questions. Have a great day, guys. I know that's a lot. You can do it. Bye.